Most modern games treat you like a fragile child by giving you a glowing path to follow and a difficulty slider that ensures you never actually have to learn how to play. Then you look back at something like Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and you realize that we used to value the feeling of actually earning a victory. It has been 7 years since this game first dropped, and honestly, the gaming landscape has changed so much that playing it today feels like a wake-up call to the system. Back then, From Software was already the king of the mountain because of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but Sekiro was the moment it decided to strip away every single safety net we had grown comfortable with. There were no shields to hide behind and no over-leveled co-op partners to summon when a boss got too hard. It was just you and a piece of steel against a world that wanted you dead. Even now in 2026, when we have these massive, hyper-realistic open worlds with 1,000 mechanics, Sekiro remains a masterclass in focused design because it didn't try to be everything for everyone. It just tried to be the most intense combat experience ever made, and it still holds that title with a grip that refuses to slip.
The combat system is the beating heart of this entire experience, and calling it a masterpiece feels like an understatement. In most action games, you were just managing a health bar or waiting for an opening to strike, but Sekiro introduced the posture system, which fundamentally changed how we think about fighting. Every clash of swords is a rhythmic dance where you are trying to break your opponent's spirit before you break their body. You aren't just hacking and sloshing away at a spongy health pool because the game forces you to be aggressive. If you back off to heal, your enemy recovers their posture and all that hard work you just did evaporates into the mountain air. This creates a level of tension that I rarely see in modern titles because you are always one mistake away from a quick death, but you are also always one perfect parry away from total dominance. The sound design plays a massive role here too, as the sharp metallic clang of a perfect deflection is more satisfying than any loot drop or level up notification I have seen in years. It is a sound that tells you that you are doing it right and that you are finally in sync with the game's brutal heartbeat. When you first start the game, the controls might feel a bit daunting because the timing for deflections has to be precise. However, once that muscle memory kicks in, the responsiveness is absolutely flawless. There is no input lag or clunky animation weight holding you back, which is vital because the game demands perfection. You play as Wolf, a shinobi who has been stripped of everything except his loyalty and a prosthetic arm that serves as a multi-tool for murder. This prosthetic is where the variety comes in, allowing you to throw shuriken or use a flamethrower or even a heavy axe to break shields. But none of these tools are a win button because you still have to master the core swordplay to survive. The progression system is tied to your growth as a player rather than just a stat sheet. You do get skill points and physical upgrades, but the real leveling up happens in your brain. You start to recognize patterns and you stop panicking when a giant spear is flying towards your face. That transition from being a victim to becoming a legend is the soul of this game, and it is a feeling that many modern developers have forgotten how to deliver without relying on cheap tricks.
The story is surprisingly intimate for a From Software game because it follows a specific protagonist with a clear voice and a personal mission. You aren't just a nameless undead wandering a dying world, but a man trying to protect a young lord named Kuro. This emotional core makes the stakes feel much higher. You see the bond between the shinobi and his master grow, and you see the toll that immortality takes on the world of Ashina. The narrative isn't shoved down your throat through endless cutscenes, but it is woven into the environment and the items you find. The characters you meet along the way, like the mysterious sculptor or the fierce lady butterfly, have layers that you only peel back if you pay attention. There is a sense of tragedy hanging over everything because the land of Ashina is on the brink of collapse, and everyone is desperate to cling to power or life. This desperation drives the plot forward and leads to multiple endings that actually feel earned based on the choices you make and the side quests you complete.
Exploring the world of Sekiro is a vertical experience unlike anything else in the genre. Since you have a grappling hook, you aren't tethered to the ground. You can zip up to rooftops and scan the area before deciding how to approach a group of enemies. The level design is incredibly dense, with shortcuts and hidden paths that loop back on each other in ways that make the world feel like a real physical place. From the snowy cliffs of the outskirts to the haunting beauty of the Fountainhead Palace, every location feels distinct and purposeful. In 2026, the visuals still hold up remarkably well because the art direction is so strong. While
modern games might have more polygons, they often lack the distinct personality and atmosphere found here. The way the wind blows through the tall grass during a duel, or the way the orange glow of a sunset hits the temple roof, creates a vibe that is timeless. It proves that a great aesthetic will always outlast raw technical specs, because style never goes out of fashion. The bosses in Sekiro are legendary for a reason, and they serve as the ultimate skill checks. Each one is designed to teach you a specific mechanic or to test if you have truly mastered what the game has been throwing at you. Fighting Geneshiro on top of the castle for the first time is a rite of passage for every gamer because he represents the wall you have to climb to prove you belong. These fights are brutal and they will make you want to throw your controller out the window, but they are never unfair. Every time you die, it is because you missed a beat or hesitated for a split second. The game gives you all the tools you need and it is up to you to use them. This leads to an incredible sense of replay value because once you finish the game, you want to go back and see how much faster you can take down those enemies that used to terrify you. Going into a new game plus cycle feels like a victory lap because you realize just how much better you have become.
Even the sound design and music work together to keep your adrenaline spiking. The soundtrack doesn't just play in the background, it reacts to the state of the fight. When things get desperate, the drums get louder and the strings get more frantic. The voice acting, whether you play in the original Japanese or the English dub, is top tier and brings a lot of weight to the dialogue. Technically, the game runs better now than it ever did because hardware has finally caught up to the vision. The frame rates are buttery smooth and the loading times are almost non-existent, which is a blessing when you are dying 20 times in a row against a difficult boss. It makes the cycle of failure and learning much less frustrating because you are back in the action within seconds. Looking at Sekiro in 2026, it is clear that its legacy is secure. It didn't need to follow trends or add a battle pass or fill the map with mindless icons to keep people playing. It succeeded because it respected the player's intelligence and provided a challenge that felt meaningful. Many games today try to mimic this style, but they often miss the nuance of the combat or the fairness of the design. Sekiro is a reminder that a focused vision is always better than a bloated one. It has aged like fine wine, and if you missed it back in the day or have been too scared to try it, now is the perfect time to jump in. It is one of those rare experiences that actually changes the way you look at other games, because it sets the bar so high for what an action title can be. If I had to give it a score, I would easily give it a 5 out of 5 because even after all these years, there is nothing else that quite captures this specific feeling of being a shinobi. It is a perfect blend of atmosphere and mechanics that stays with you long after the credits roll. It is a journey of frustration and triumph that every serious gamer needs to experience at least once. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane and want to see more deep dives into the classics that shaped our gaming lives, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments if you ever managed to beat the final boss or if he is still haunting your nightmares even in 2026. Share this with a friend who needs a reason to pick up the blade again, and I will see you in the next one.